Good day, and welcome to CatholicSaints.Info. I'm the Amateur Hagiographer. The 29th of June is the solemnity of Saints Peter and Paul as co-founders of the Church. The following is what the American author John Shea wrote about St. Paul in the book Pictorial Lives of the Saints. St. Paul was born at Tarsus in modern Turkey, of Jewish parents, and studied at Jerusalem at the feet of the great Rabbi Gamaliel. While still a young man, he held the clothes of those who stoned the proto-martyr Stephen to death, as described in Acts. And in his restless zeal, he pressed on to Damascus, breathing threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of Christ. But near Damascus, a light from heaven knocked him to the ground. He heard a voice that asked, "Why persecutest thou me?" And he saw the form of him who had been crucified for his sins. And then for 3 days, Paul saw nothing more. He awoke from his trance, a new man, a new creature in Jesus Christ. He left Damascus for a long retreat in Arabia, and then, following a call from God, he carried the gospel to the limits of the world, and for years lived and labored with no thought but the thought of Christ crucified, no desire but to spend and be spent for him. He became the apostle of the Gentiles, whom he had been taught to hate, and wished himself anathema for his own countrymen who sought his life. Perils by land and sea could not dampen his courage, nor toil and suffering and age dull his tenderness of heart. At last he gave blood for blood. In his youth he had imbibed the false zeal of the Pharisees at Jerusalem, the holy city of the former dispensation. With St. Peter he consecrated Rome, our holy city, by his martyrdom, and poured into its church all his doctrine with all his blood. He left 14 epistles, which have been a fountainhead of the church's doctrine, the consolation and delight of the greatest saints. His interior life, so far as words can tell it, lies open before us in these divine writings, the life of one who has died forever to himself and risen again in Jesus Christ. In what, says St. John Chrysostom, in what did this blessed one gain an advantage over the other apostles? How comes it that he lives in all men's mouths throughout the world? Is it not through the virtue of his epistles? Nor will his work cease while the race of man continues. Even now, like a most chivalrous knight, he stands in our midst and takes captive every thought to the obedience of Christ. Flowery language, but it was by John Dawson Gilmary Shea in 1889, part of the book The Pictorial Lives of the Saints. For more about St. Paul and the rest of your extended family in heaven, check out CatholicSaints.Info, CatholicSaints.Mobi, or the Laudate app for iOS or Android. Links are in the notes below. And thanks for listening.